So I compiled 13 of my best reselling tip videos and I kind of put them back to back in this short free mini course for you, okay? So we're gonna cover things like all the different marketplaces you can resell on, tips to scale your reselling business, how to handle return requests, how to run an actual profitable business. So I'll talk about the two sides of my reselling business in that short clip right there, as well as things like spreadsheets to track your profit, the importance of actually ranking your account in the beginning and not going after sales, but then once you are ranked, obviously you can increase your profit margins. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about SEO in all the different marketplaces that I recommend that you resell on. We'll also talk about how to get free shipping supplies to actually ship out, whether you're selling on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, or Amazon. We'll also talk about SellHound to do product research on, pretty much all websites across the, for whatever product you plan on reselling, so you can get the best, obviously, price for your product and make the most money. We'll then talk about how to keep your inventory organized, how to find a good prep center if you want to take the onus off of you specifically, or if you're doing this from outside the US as well, that also works. And then we'll cover how to take good product pictures. So all of these specific lectures are in sequence, but they're all timestamped in the description if you want to check it out. I really hope it helps, so let's jump in. Touch on all the different marketplaces to resell. One of the questions that I get asked frequently are okay, I sell on Amazon, or okay, I sell on eBay. What other marketplaces are there out there? How many of them are there, right? And is it worth my time to actually invest listing on them to make potential sales, right? So we're going to cover all that in today's video. I'm going to break down all the marketplaces that I know of. I'm going to tier them kind of into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So tier 1 is the ones that you definitely want to be on. Tier 2 is the ones that you probably want to list and play around with a little bit and you can make sales as well. And tier 3 is ones that are kind of up and coming, but I would recommend that you don't waste your time. Waste is a bad way to kind of say it, but it's not necessarily worth spending the time to allocate listing to those platforms yet, because there's just not enough high sales velocity on those platforms to make enough sales, right? But they're ones that you want to keep an eye on for going in the future, okay? So obviously we all know Amazon, and we're going to break that down here in a second in tier 1. But regardless of if you're reselling or you're generating products or you're selling e-commerce in general, right? You want to understand, okay, what type of product do I have and where is it best for me to sell that product? The answer is not always Amazon, although obviously Amazon has a high sales velocity for a lot of different things, right? So you want to understand what type of product you have, where you can list it to make it, obviously sell it the quickest, right? But also make the highest margin. Tier 1 is one that I talk about all the time, and there's 4 main marketplaces here that you can resell, okay? So obviously, first and foremost, we have Amazon. Now, everything is not necessarily the best to resell back on Amazon. With Amazon, there's product listings that rank for certain sales velocities, and you can get indicators of those sales velocities with, a software like Jungle Scout or a software like Viral Launch, right? Or simply by looking at the best seller rank on that actual product listing. So if you have an item, right, and there's not a product listing for it on Amazon, it doesn't necessarily, even though Amazon has the highest sales velocity and does the most, probably more combined than the rest of them combined, right? It doesn't necessarily behoove you to sell it back on Amazon if there's no product listing there for that item. So while it is the best, you have to source specifically for those product listings on Amazon. And if you have something that is not, listed on Amazon, you are 100% better off listing it on one of these other tier 1 websites, or maybe even a tier 2 if it's better for you. So Amazon, obviously pretty self-explanatory, is the best marketplace to sell on. Then we have eBay, which is the next best, and eBay is a great marketplace because it's got high sales velocity and you can sell a lot of other things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to sell on Amazon. Plus there's just a different kind of buyer on eBay. A lot of times if you list something on Amazon, most of the time, if there's a high sales velocity on Amazon, a product like that is also going to have demand and similar demand on eBay, not necessarily to match the sales velocity, but it's going to be high on eBay as well. Although sometimes you'll notice that some products sell better on Amazon and some products sell better on eBay. So it depends on from product to product. That's why it's important to do your product research. Then we have my next 2 favorites, which I've really been scaling up this past year. So Poshmark and Mercari have been phenomenal for me this year. Now I'm suspended from eBay because they think that I'm dropshipping. Otherwise, I'd be scaling eBay up as well. So if you have eBay at your disposal on top of Amazon, obviously, then you should utilize that and grow eBay because it's one of the best places to sell online, period. That said, I've been scaling up Poshmark and Mercari because I cannot sell on eBay currently, and I do it on the side really just on Poshmark and Mercari, and I make about $1,000 every single month just doing cashback products on Poshmark and Mercari. So it's a really great place to kind of, also list things. One of the benefits of Mercari is it's kind of like a baby version of eBay. It's kind of growing into that, and I highly recommend that you start selling on Mercari. Even if you don't invest all your time on it, start listing some things on the platform, and you will see just how easily they sell and just how willing buyers are on Mercari to buy stuff at higher prices, right? Also, Poshmark's a great place. It's more geared toward clothing, although they are starting to expand not just into other countries. They just expanded into Canada. I believe they have plans to expand into Mexico, and they also have plans to expand into Europe coming soon. Not only that, though, they're also expanding their categories, right? So a lot like how Amazon started with just books, right? They were just an online book retailer, kind of. Well, Poshmark started with clothes, and then they're slowly branching out into other categories. So they just opened a home category, and I know that they have plans to open up other categories as well. So this is not just a clothing site to resell clothes. It started that way, but it will grow and grow exponentially into the years to come. So hop on eBay, hop on Poshmark, hop on Mercari. These are 3 of the other ones. Obviously, Amazon goes without saying that you should be investing your time in right now so that you can profit from them in the future. But what are some other marketplaces that you can list products that you can sell that might be worth your time depending on what you have? So I'm going to cover them pretty fast right here. These are marketplaces that I've sold. Most of these marketplaces are things that I've sold on and can be, if you list something, you can get sales consistently and you can make good money. So Letgo and OfferUp are 2 of my favorite ones. They're super underrated for close proximity or heavy transactions. So if you have something that's bulky, for example, right? Or you have something that is like heavy that would cost you a lot to ship on a platform like eBay or Poshmark or Mercari, and it doesn't have a product listing on Amazon, well, one of the best places, or 2 of the best places actually, to resell those would be Letgo and OfferUp, okay? Because what it does is it connects you with buyers close to you for an item like that, and then you can meet up face to face, a lot like Craigslist was before it kind of got bad, and you can meet up face to face and just exchange cash, right? So there's great benefits to that. It connects you to a close proximity of buyers where you can then flip heavy and bulky items for a profit, okay? And it's cash, so obviously we're not talking any taxes here. It's straight cash. So Letgo and OfferUp, super, super, super underrated for close proximity and heavy big transactions. It's one of the 2 of the best places that I recommend to beginners when they don't have any money to start, right? Because you can go out and source free items on Letgo and OfferUp and then literally resell them back on Letgo and OfferUp if you're willing to put the work in, okay? Now, OfferUp is also kind of introducing shipping. So they're introducing shipping across the US, and it's something that I've been playing around with, and a lot of the students in my course have been playing around with and seeing good results with actually. So I don't have that much experience. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be like I ship all these items on OfferUp because I genuinely don't. I usually list them on tier 1, but I have been listing some just to play around with, and I have sold a decent amount on OfferUp and ship them out. It seems like they're kind of trying to grow the shipping aspect of OfferUp and not just sticking with the close proximity or face-to-face transactions like a Craigslist, okay? Next one is Facebook Marketplace, which is also great for close proximity or heavy bulky items, but you can list anything on Facebook Marketplace, and there's a lot of people looking for things on there. Although keep in mind, in my experience, and this is just my experience, just like this is my opinion in these tiers, all these, with Facebook Marketplace specifically, I've noticed that a lot of people lowball me, and I rarely get the price point that I want. So if you have an item that you're just trying to flip for whatever, maybe you have like Amazon, returns, or maybe you have something that you liquidated, right? That you're just trying to make any margin that you can. Facebook Marketplace might be perfect for you, but just keep in mind that people do tend to lowball you a little bit on Facebook Marketplace, or at least that's been my experience. Now, Bonanza seems like a great up-and-comer for sellers as well, although it isn't quite there yet in my opinion, so it does have decent sales velocity, believe it or not, but what I would say is don't make it your bread and butter, right? If you're listing, let's say hypothetically you have like a few hundred listings across eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, right? And you do main selling on Amazon, which is a lot like kind of like what I do, right? I'm not going to list all those couple hundred items that I spent all to the time listing on eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari on Bonanza as well. The reason is twofold, right? So first and foremost, they charge ahead of time, which I don't personally love that about those types of marketplaces. Also, another marketplace we'll talk about that charges ahead of time is Etsy as well. So you pay to list something, or you pay a membership fee depending on what membership you sign up for on Bonanza and what kind of seller you are. So I don't love that about this because I don't want to invest my time, and money specifically to find out if it's a good marketplace. So it does seem like it's got decent sales velocity. It does seem like it's a great up and comer, and it might be there in a couple years potentially. But in my opinion, it isn't quite there yet. So I wouldn't recommend making it, your go-to. Stick with these 4 in tier 1 and then play around a little bit with listing on Bonanza and see how it works for you. Now the next one that seems like a great up and comer, and I've listed probably 20 things on this site and actually sold 2 items, so it didn't take me very long to actually sell something. Seems like a great up and comer for sellers, but it definitely isn't quite there yet. I'm sure you've seen ads for it on Instagram because I still get ads for it all the time. They're really blowing up their brand on Instagram and just across social media in general. So Wish is a great up and comer for sellers. It definitely isn't quite there yet like Bonanza is, although I would recommend that you do just like Bonanza, invest some of your time into listings, but like I said with Bonanza, don't also make this your bread and butter, okay? So this does seem like it's a really great marketplace, and it will be there in a year or two potentially, but it's just not there yet necessarily for sellers currently. So you're not going to make a full-time living listing items on Wish, although you can list items on Wish and sell them, and they sell, pretty well in my experience, although it is a small sample size. Like I said, I just listed about 20 items, so it does seem promising, but I'll keep an eye on it going forward. The next one is Etsy. Now, Etsy has a great, it's a great marketplace as well. It should be in tier 1 in my opinion, although for me specifically and what I resell, I don't resell a lot of vintage or handmade products, and so for that reason I put it on tier 2 because I'm assuming that the majority of people watching this are not going to be reselling vintage or handmade products, right? So then it doesn't really benefit you, even if it has high sales velocity and you can make potential good money on it. If you're not reselling what you're allowed to resell back on this platform, it doesn't behoove you to actually list there, right? So only vintage and handmade products with Etsy, and keep in mind that just like Bonanza, they do charge ahead of time. I think it's like 20 cents per listing or something like that. So it's cheap, obviously, but you might end up, if you're listing a couple hundred, right? And then, you're not seeing the sales that you want potentially, just keep in mind that you're going to have to foot that bill to list all those items, right? It's not like eBay where you can list for free. It's not like Amazon where you can list for free. It's not like Poshmark and Mercari where you can list for free. You have to pay ahead of time, and you're only limited to vintage and handmade products. Now, 2 of my favorite apps that I've been playing around with lately that I've been loving. So sometimes I source shoes specifically to resell back on Amazon, but if I can't resell them back on Amazon, or I can't get them gated for like a top tier brand like Nike or Adidas, right? Or Puma, for example, because I sold Pumas on Goat, right? Goat and StockX are 2 apps that are strictly for reselling shoes, but in my experience, they've been seeming really promising, and it seems like there's high demand on those apps for people looking for specific shoes. Now, keep in mind that it's not all shoes. It's in my experience at least, and keep in mind I haven't been selling on these for a long time, but in my experience so far, it seems like high, top brand name shoes. So if you have a top brand and it's new, chances are you can flip it on Goat and StockX for a decent margin. So that is tier 2. Tier 1, like I said, is the first 4. Tier 2 is all of these. Invest a little bit of your time playing around with these. One of them might just be a diamond in the rough for you, but I wouldn't recommend investing all of your time in listing on all of these as well as tier 1. Play around with them, see if they work for you, and use them. They're just another metaphorical tool in your tool belt. So tier 3 we're going to run through fast, and these are ones that in my opinion are not there yet and you shouldn't be investing time in, although they do seem promising and I plan on keeping an eye on them in the future, right? So people, the reason that I wanted to create this video is because people always, they'll message me or they'll email me and they'll be like, hey, what about this marketplace? So instead of kind of answering all those questions individually, I figured I would just make a video detailing what I thought about each marketplace and whether it was worth your time to invest and what thing invest the time listing in it, right? And what things you can actually sell on there, and I think it will sell well and for a good margin, right? So tier 3 consists of Craigslist, ThreadUp, Tradesy, 5 Miles, Vinted, The RealReal, Depop, and Curtsy, okay? So these are ones that seem promising. If the marketplace isn't even on this actual video, then that tells you what I think of it, okay? So these are ones that I have my eye on. Obviously, Craigslist used to be good, and it's kind of dead, but I always like to cycle back to things like this because there might be opportunities there, so we won't get too much into that. But these other ones right here seem promising, and Depop and Curtsy, keep in mind that you can only list from the app. So for people reselling where it's very easy to take like an Amazon Amazon listing and list it on eBay, right? Or take an Amazon listing and list it on Poshmark and Mercari, right? You can't do that with Depop because you have to list specifically from the app. And a lot of these, they only want pictures that you took specifically, so you can't use stock pictures. So keep that in mind. I think that's true for Vinted as well, if I remember correctly. And it might be for 5 miles, but I don't remember specifically. So these are ones that I have my eye on that might, be up and comers for the future, but I'm not currently listing to these because in my experience, I've tried them and it just doesn't seem like there's that much demand or sales velocity on these platforms. So that is it. Tier 1, just to recap, Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. Focus on these. Obviously, Amazon goes without saying, but eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari are super underrated in a lot of resellers' eyes as well. Hop on them. There's a lot of potential there to make money. Tier 2, Letgo, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, Bonanza, Wish, Etsy, Goat, and StockX, okay? So these are great ones as well. And also tier 3 are ones that I'm paying attention to, and you can kind of try if you want to. I'm not saying don't go out and try them, but I'm saying don't invest your time listing to these because there doesn't seem like there's that much sales on them currently. So tip number 1 is one that seems to get lost on a lot of people when they're first getting into it, and that is you need more inventory. That doesn't mean that you need to go out and source 100K worth of inventory or retail value in order to start though, okay? You can start small and then scale slowly as you go, regardless of your sourcing method. But ultimately, let's say your goal is 5K a month in sales. Well, you're gonna need at least 5K a month potentially in products so that people can actually buy that, right? And you'll most likely need a lot more because nobody's sell-through rate is 100%. Now, if you're selling on Amazon, then you don't always necessarily need to source a significant amount more, depending on the business model, of course, because you can judge product demand a lot easier and then only source in-demand products that you know will sell relatively quickly. But if you're selling on the likes of eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari, then the more quality, generally speaking at least, the more quality inventory that you have will generally mean more sales and more profit. Now, the second tip is one that I see a lot of beginners making as well, and that is to not price yourself out of your profit. That means if you list something and it doesn't sell within your expected time frame, don't get impatient. Finding a buyer on these sites is kind of a lot like dating in a weird way, right? You might have to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince or princesses, as they say. Now, I'd rather be patient, me personally, and sell an item for $20 profit, for example, than be impatient and make $5 profit on that same item. One is a lot better for your business and your bottom line, and is a lot less effort on your part. Tip number 3 is to branch out on the platforms that you're actually reselling on, okay? Now, Amazon and eBay are hands down the best, okay? But if you're listing on only those platforms, you're really leaving a lot of sales and profit on the table. I would heavily recommend, depending on the business models that you're implementing, obviously, to look into selling on Poshmark and Mercari on top of those two as well. Now, with that being said, listing across different platforms can be extremely time consuming. I totally get that. But the good news for you and me is there are softwares out there that will help us do a lot of the work for you. Now, List Perfectly is a multi-channel listing software that lets you create one listing and then it'll post it across different reselling platforms for you instantly. Not only that, it'll also manage your inventory and take sold inventory off other platforms once you no longer have it in stock. Now, you can test out List Perfectly for free, 100%. Just head over to listperfectly.com and sign up for their free trial. Now, I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just really believe in the software. I use it myself, and I know it can help you. The next tip is a crucial one, and that's that it is a lifestyle. You need to think long-term and building an actual business. The number one reason people fail in the stock market, or really anything for that matter, is that they try to day trade stocks instead of focusing on investing for the long term. Same thing with reselling, really. It's simple. Find inventory that's profitable, list it, and then wait for the right buyer to come by when the time is right. It's not complicated, but it does take discipline and the right system. Now, the next tip is to keep your inventory organized. If you're selling on Amazon through FBA, then this clearly doesn't apply to you because Amazon will do all this in the logistics for you. But if you're doing your own fulfillment on Poshmark, eBay, or Mercari, this is crucial. And I learned this the hard way, so hopefully you don't have to. I've spent hours and hours of my life searching for inventory and for items when I didn't have an inventory system. Not only that, there have been countless times that I've had to cancel orders because I literally couldn't locate that item. And for every single platform, they take it very, very seriously, especially eBay and Amazon. So by implementing an inventory system, you'll save time and protect your selling accounts. The last tip is to do more product research ahead of time. And I repeat this tip almost in every single tip video because it's super, super important. Now, this mainly goes for the sourcing techniques where you're actually spending a decent amount of money into inventory. It doesn't necessarily make sense to do it for, sourcing techniques where you're getting free or cheap products. So for coupon arbitrage and cashback arbitrage, where you're buying into inventory super cheap or getting those free products, I wouldn't really worry about it, right? Then the name of the game really just becomes more inventory listed, more potential profit. But if you're buying into inventory like wholesale or books or bulk deal with the intention of reselling on Amazon, for example, then the most important step is the product research. You want to look at the listing, you want to look at the sales velocity, and you want to look at the competition on that listing as well. If you're sourcing liquidation to sell on eBay, for example, then you want to look into the product demand for that potential brand or that product. Now you can do that by searching for it initially, and then literally on the side you want to go to sold and completed listings and see exactly what of that brand and that specific listing or listings very, very similar have sold for. You want to look at the amount of sales and the recency of those sales. You also want to check the supply and the competition for that said product. Are there a bunch of sellers on the listing, for example, that are listing the product a lot lower than you were hoping to? Then in that case, it's probably a bad buy. So there you have it, guys. 6 tips that will help you scale your reselling business this year. I just want to kind of touch on really briefly my return strategy and how I actually handle returns across Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. So it is pretty simple and they're slightly different for each platform. So to get it out of the way, first and foremost, on Amazon and eBay, it's pretty straightforward, okay? I accept all or most returns, assuming they're not something like crazy like 10 months later or, it's blatantly obvious that they're trying to pull a scam. And in most cases, probably 99.9% of cases, even if I understand or see that the buyer is trying to scam me, right? Or one-up me or return a product that I knew wasn't effective or whatever it is, right? Whether it's on eBay or Amazon, I'm usually just going to accept the return request anyway and refund their money, okay? A lot of times I'll just refund their money and I won't even make them ship the product back. Why do I do that, you ask? A lot of people might handle that differently. I personally would rather protect the account health of my eBay and my Amazon account because I understand that I would prefer the privilege of continuing to make profit on those sites rather than, the profit of the one-off sale that the customer might either be unhappy with or being, trying to scam me, for lack of a better word, okay? That's my viewpoint. That's how I handle Amazon and eBay. Pretty straightforward. I pretty much just accept all returns and I refund them right away. A lot of times I don't even let them or make them ship the product back, okay? Poshmark and Mercari, are slightly different, okay? So Poshmark, first and foremost, you have to understand with Poshmark that buyers on Poshmark don't actually see the ratings that other buyers have given you, okay? So they're unaware of what you've been rated across all your transactions. You could have 100 one-star transactions and 150 transactions and a really, really horrible rating, but they're never gonna see that, okay? That said, the Poshmark internal team will see that, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is on Poshmark, you don't have to accept returns. I don't usually accept returns, and I rarely get return requests on Poshmark. There have been a few. The only time I would say to accept a return request on Poshmark is if you blatantly, miscategorized the item or you basically put in a wrong condition, right? So if you've described the item right, and you've used product pictures that actually are that item and not a replica of that item, or, for example, right, a perfect example of this that will kind of, lock it into, how you should approach it, right, is I see a lot of people trying to game the Poshmark system or game the eBay system or anything like that and list used shoes as new shoes that are just scuffed or something like that. In that case, if a buyer were to ask for a return request, I would say you probably should do it because if you have too many of those, eventually it's going to lead to consequences on your account, whether that's Poshmark, Mercari, or any of the other ones, right? On top of that though, it's really just kind of bad business to do that. So the only times I would say to accept a return on Poshmark is if you've miscategorized the item or you're trying to sell something that's used as new and the buyer catches you. And I don't even recommend doing that in the first place, okay? But for 99.9% of all Poshmark transactions, and keep in mind I might have faced, I don't even know, 3 of these overall in the entirety of the time that I've been selling on Poshmark. So the only time that I would do it with those specific situations, but 99.9% of the time, I'm not going to accept a return request because I demonstrated, obviously with the pictures and the listing, what the actual item is. And by the way, I actually categorized it as the right condition. So if for whatever reason the buyer gets it and they're unhappy, that's, for lack of a better way to put it, that's not necessarily on me, okay? So I don't accept those in those situations. And in a lot of times, if you have good metrics and you have a history of servicing customers well on Poshmark, what Poshmark will do is they'll just accept it for both parties, right? Because it goes into like a dispute and kind of like a middleman type of thing, an escrow. So you get the money a lot of times if you have good seller metrics. Poshmark will just be like, we decided to refund you and we let the buyer keep the item and refunded them as well. But that's only if you have good seller metrics, okay? And that's only if you don't have a history of doing that and trying to pull the wool over customers' eyes, so to speak, okay? That's Poshmark and that's eBay and Amazon. For Mercari, it's a little bit different because on Mercari, it's a lot like eBay or Amazon where buyers can see your reviews and your ratings, okay? So I've only actually had out of about 500 transactions 2 return requests or issues at all on Mercari. The first one was a buyer basically said that it wasn't delivered when it clearly was, and in that aspect, I literally just showed the Mercari team that, hey, here's the tracking number, it says it's been delivered, the buyer's claiming that I didn't deliver it to their house or that they never received the package, and Mercari obviously sided with me. Now, they basically released my funds, so I made the money on it, and I didn't ever have to deal with that buyer again. And on top of that, I believe that they refunded the buyer as well, a lot like Poshmark does, although that's their prerogative to decide whether or not they want to do that. Maybe the buyer has a history of doing that or not, but that's the only time that I basically didn't authorize a return request. The other time was one where the buyer got it, and I actually had categorized the item correctly. I had taken the right product pictures, but the buyer got it and was unhappy with the actual item that they received, okay? So they basically said it wasn't as described, it was lighter, and it was like a thinner material, and I literally had all the specs in there, the entire description in there, the product pictures in there, so it wasn't my fault. I didn't misrepresent the item in the listing, okay? But in that aspect, it's really up to you to decide what you want to do. I was more concerned with the long-term, basically reviews of my Mercari account, because now that I have a great 5-star rating, right, across like hundreds of reviews, buyers just buy from me now, with trust, okay? So it's really, really valuable to get that store rating up and kind of maintain that high rating. So in that aspect, I think that was a few months back when I didn't necessarily have as many reviews. So I just went ahead and I was like, I'll refund your purchase. You can just keep the item. It's fine. Because I wanted to maintain a happy customer and I didn't want to get a 1-star review for like a $10 profit margin, okay? So you got to make that judgment call for yourself, because on Mercari, obviously the buyers can see the ratings and your store rating goes a long way to actually sell more for you in the future. And that's basically how I handle return requests and, my return strategy on all those platforms. I have 2 sides of the business, like I said, right? I focus about 50% of my attention and my spend on rebate arbitrage and coupon arbitrage, and then I focus 50% of my spend on bulk deal, books, wholesale, and liquidation, depending on the time of the year and what I'm focused on. So first and foremost, about 50% of my spend goes to rebate arbitrage and coupon arbitrage. If you don't know what those are, rebate arbitrage basically means you're spending full retail on a product, you're getting full retail back. So maybe I buy into a product at $20, I get $20 back, and then I have a free product to resell back on Poshmark, Mercari, or eBay. As you see here, which we're going to go over the specifics here in a second, I intend with these 2 business models now to resell back on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, okay? So that is rebate arbitrage. Coupon arbitrage, you are literally buying into a product that might be $20, but you're getting a coupon code from the seller to maybe buy that product for 50 cents, maybe $1, maybe $3. It depends product to product. Like I did say, I spend about 50% of my money and my time focused on rebate arbitrage and coupon arbitrage. The reason being, yes, I do content creation, and that pays me very well, right? I create courses, and they pay me very, very well, right? And it's passive income. I also do online arbitrage in a more scalable fashion, like we're going to talk about here in a second, and I don't need to invest as much time in fulfillment. But that said, me personally still love the rebate and coupon arbitrage business model when you're fulfilling it yourself, because it's basically free cash flow with barely any risk, right? So to outline some of the benefits and the negatives and why I focus on this, I do intend, like I said, to resell these back on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. You're not selling these back on Amazon anymore. I've covered why I don't do that. Some people do. You can, but that's not something I want to get into today's video. So I do handle the logistics when I do this, right? The distribution and the shipping myself. I get these products, then I send them out through eBay, Poshmark, Mercari to those buyers, literally myself. I do it every morning. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't have the time for this. I barely have any time, regardless on what I do. I'm sure you're very, very busy too. That said, if I can do it, it only takes me about an hour to source in the morning, right, for all these things and do the fulfillment myself, right? Package a few things up and ship them in. I got one going out right here. I got one right there. I've got a couple books over there that I'm fulfilling, merchant fulfilled, because I'm trying to go after maximum approval on Amazon. So it barely takes me any time in the morning, and it can be anywhere from like 2 items all the way up to like 20, depending on the day. At the end of Q4, it was really getting kind of out of hand, and it was taking me like 2 hours, but that's not most days, okay? So it is easy. It's very, very low risk, and it's consistent cash flow, okay? Because you're getting these products super, super cheap or free to your door, barely spending any time to source them, so you're not going out to like stores or Goodwills or thrift shops or anything like that, or garage sales, and spending time and doing product research. You're literally getting free and very, very cheap products to your door, which you can then resell back online for 100% or very, very high profit margins. I also use a cashback credit card to make extra money on those purchases. The one that I use most is the Discover It card. The other one that I use is the Amazon Store card. They both work very, very well, and they both give you high cashback because a lot of these, the majority of the rebate arbitrage and the coupon arbitrage products, if not practically all of them, are going to be purchased on Amazon, okay? So, like I said, I use a cashback credit card to make extra money if I'm spending like $3,000 a month on cashback or coupon products, right? And I'm earning 5%. Well, let's do a little bit of math there, right? How much actually is that extra that I wouldn't have spent? So $3,000 is, probably typical on most times. And remember, I'm not actually spending this. I'm just using it on my credit card, getting the money back most of the time, and maybe after coupon products, I'm getting like $2,800 back or like $28,500 back or something like that. So I'm barely spending any money for hundreds of products. So if we take $3,000 is what I'm spending, even though I'm getting it back, and I get 5% on that $3,000, that's an extra $150 every single month just for using a cashback credit card that you otherwise wouldn't get if you didn't, right? So use a cashback credit card big if here, if you're responsible and you can pay it back. Always pay it back. Don't let it build up. That's a bad way to go. If you're not responsible, just use a debit card or use what you have. You can use a credit card also to track your cost of goods. It's another benefit of using that cashback credit card. That way you can literally at the end of the month or the quarter or however you want to do it, right? Or the end of the week, if you really want to do it weekly, you can focus on, okay, this is your cost of goods. This is what you profited. This is what you got back. How profitable are you? To track literally everything in the overall profitability. Now, it's better doing it with this and rebate or coupon arbitrage, because you want to track all those things. You want to track to see if you're getting your rebates back. That way you can kind of focus and maintain that. Now, every single website obviously tracks that for you, but you don't want to trust the website that's going to tell you, hey, you got your coupon code back, hey, you got your cash back. You want to track it as well and make sure that you're profitable. Also track your profit on each sale. It's very, very easy to do. A lot of people, this is another route that people complain on. It's like, I don't have all the time to track it. Like I said, I'm very, very busy. I'm sure you're busy, very, very busy too. It doesn't take very long at all. You can simply set up a spreadsheet. If you guys ever need, and I have spreadsheets for all of them, including these ones like we're going to talk about. If you guys ever need a spreadsheet, email me at brian@invertmedia.net. I popped that up on the screen for you for reference right now. Simply ask for the spreadsheet, but make sure you give me a specific spreadsheet. Sometimes people email me or they message me and they're like, hey, can I have an online arbitrage spreadsheet? And I'm like, which one? Like, I do all sorts of business models and they're all slightly different. So specify the spreadsheet, right? Say, hey, I want the bulk deal spreadsheet. Hey, I want the book spreadsheet. Hey, I want the cashback or the rebate spreadsheet. Whatever, specify the spreadsheet in the online arbitrage business model or business models, right? If you're doing multiples that you want, because they're all slightly different, okay? Then the next thing that I do is I focus half my spend, and this is not getting any money back, right? This is literally spending into products like normal arbitrage where you're gonna have to wait for that return on your investment, right? So I spend 50% of my money and 50% of my time focused on more scalable business models, right? So I have my cash flow side of things with the rebate and coupon arbitrage where I do all the fulfillment on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari myself. And then I have the more scalable side where I'm sourcing from my computer and shipping in FBA to leverage Amazon's FBA and distribution, right? So that includes things like bulk deal, books, wholesale, liquidation arbitrage, all those depending on the time of year. Now, I'm getting more into wholesale and liquidation now because it's past Q4 and it's almost the end of book season. But for a while there in Q4, I was literally only focused on bulk deal and books because it was the end of Q4. So the bulk deal has a lot of top brands where you can flip, and they flip like candy in Q4. It's still good now. Don't get me wrong. You can do bulk deal and any of these all year long. But at the end and heart of Q4 was like bulk deal was like crazy profitable, and they were flipping so fast, right? Books, same thing, right? So the books flipped a little bit in Q4, but really I was just buying into a lot of inventory. I spent thousands of dollars on books probably from like September all the way into like early January, and literally they're flipping like candy right now because it is textbook season. So you want to be prepared next textbook season. I forget exactly when the textbook seasons are. It might be like April or May or something like that. Look into it. There's two main ones, and then there's a summer one as well. You can Google that information very easily. But what you want to do is you want to identify when that textbook season is. Currently, textbook season is running from like, I think it's like mid to early January all the way to like mid-February or something like that roughly. But the key here is you want to buy into book inventory ahead of time and then ship it into FBA right before that window and mark all your products up. What that's going to do is, because there's so much demand during textbook season for students to buy textbooks, all that inventory is going to be sold out, and you're going to be able to sell it at higher profit margins, and students need those textbooks, right? So they're all going to resell. They're all going to sell for high margins. And think about it. I've been a student before myself, right? Most students, at least the students that I know, most of them have parents, or, they're just charging it up or taking out loans to buy these books. They're not thinking, it's not like it's their money most of the time, right? So it's not like they're sitting there thinking on the internet, like, I gotta find the book for like $10 less. I gotta find the best deal on this book. No, they're literally going, Googling it or searching Amazon for the book that they need if they don't buy it in the store, and they're buying whatever one is on the buy box, right? So if that's the best way that you can make money on textbooks, you can make money on textbooks all year, like I said. That said, you do want to buy them ahead of time before textbook season and ship them all in pre-textbook season so that when textbook season hits, boom, you're going to profit thousands of dollars if you have thousands of dollars in inventory. I think I spent like $3 or $4 grand. I spent a couple grand. I don't know the numbers. I'd have to look at my spreadsheets, right? And I probably made at least double that back, right? So you're not going to find a better return on your investment at that profitability, right? So you're spending like a couple grand to make a couple grand back literally like in a month. It doesn't happen like that anywhere else. If you're doing bulk deal, you have to sell more units, right? Whereas books, you literally can be profiting like a couple $100 a book if you're buying good, high quality textbooks. But this is basically what I do, right? 50% on this because it's easy cash flow every single month, basically free money. And then 50% of the more scalable side of business where I'm spending my money and letting Amazon do all the fulfillment, the distribution, the customer service, and I'm leveraging FBA and their employees' time, right? With these specifically, my intention is to resell back on Amazon, and I'm sourcing with specific product listings in mind, right? So I'm looking for a book, I'm finding that product listing, and I'm seeing, okay, what is the competition on that look like? What's the sales velocity, right? Is it going to be profitable reselling it back on that listing, okay? Whereas the other ones I'm focused on reselling on other platforms, eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, where this I'm specifically focused on reselling back on Amazon, okay? Little bit of discrepancy there, right? And like I said, with that, you're able to actually judge the potential sales velocity, the competition, and how deep, more importantly, you want to go into inventory. Because you can obviously look at the competition, you can look at the keep it chart, right? And you can also look at the potential sales each month and how much it's actually selling, so you know how many of that specific book or that specific, product to buy and ship in, okay? You can leverage FBA, which is huge. That's why it's way more scalable. Now, there are higher ROIs here with bulk deals and books and wholesale and liquidation, although it is more risk, because while you can look at the the sales velocity and get a good identifier of how much it's selling and what the competition is, you are not, guessing's the wrong word, but there isn't necessarily a sure thing here. You can do everything, obviously throughout the checklist that I go over in all the tutorials, and make sure that you're as close to sure pure as possible. But at the end of the day, bestseller ranks change, competition changes, sales velocity is going to change, and all that stuff changes. So it is a little bit more of a higher risk, especially because you're spending actual money to make your money back. Whereas a lot of these, if you're buying coupon products, you're only risking like $1 or $2 here and there. When you're buying rebate products, you're literally getting all your money back. So you're only really risking your time to fulfill it. Whereas with these, you are risking higher amounts of money, right? So if I'm buying into a book that's going to, make me $200, chances are I probably spent like $50 to get that, or like $30 to get that, or like even like $90 to get that. Whereas it can resell back on Amazon for like $100 or $200 or $250, right? So it is a little bit more higher risk, and you do have to, wait a little bit potentially longer for your return on your investment. Now, if it's bulk deal, you might not be waiting as long, but you might be spending like $15 to make like, $5 after all the fees and your product sells, right? Maybe you're buying it for like 15, the product sells at 30. After all the fees and shipping into FBA, you're only netting $5, right? So it is a little bit more higher risk. The margins and the ROIs can be higher typically, although you do have to have less time. One of the benefits though is you do have less time invested with like listing and fulfillment and shipping out if you don't like that type of stuff, right? You can spend a lot more time, and people always ask me this, is like, how much time do you spend? What are the best websites? Use them all, right? But one of the best things about this is you can spend a lot of time sourcing, because once you do find a couple good products, you can buy a lot of that product, whether it's bulk, whether it's books, whether it's wholesale, right? If it's liquidation, it's a little bit different because you're buying a pallet, but you can focus on the liquidation arbitrage playlist if you're interested in liquidation, okay? So I also use a cashback credit card and make extra money on these purchases, same thing. And I also keep organized spreadsheets to track everything and overall profitability with these. Although I am looking into an inventory lab to actually test that out. I don't personally want to recommend that yet because I haven't actually set it up and kind of mastered it myself. But obviously, if there's a good software out there like Inventory Lab or something that can actually do that for you and save you time, I'm a big proponent of that. But I want to learn it and master it first before I'm comfortable recommending it to you guys. So I hope you like this outline. That is the two sides of my online arbitrage business. One where I do the fulfillment, but it's less risk and it's easy cash flow. And one where I leverage FBA and they do the fulfillment, right? And it's a little bit higher risk, but a little bit higher returns on my investment. So I do recommend that you track everything regardless of the online arbitrage business model that you're trying to implement. That said, I want to give you access to the ways that I track, right? Like what columns do I set up? What exactly do I track? So if you guys need the spreadsheets for any of these business models, I'm going to actually go ahead and drop them directly below this lecture for download. All those templates will be there. So you won't obviously see the products that I put in there and the products that I purchased and tried to resell. But what you will see is the actual Excel file with all the columns and rows. And then what you can do is, like, for example, here's a cashback example, right? So I'm going to tally up at the very bottom of this. I'm going to literally auto sum at a bottom column. Maybe it's like, 500, right? And then I'm going to auto sum the purchase price that I spent into the product. I'm going to then auto sum the rebate price that I spent in, that I got back for the rebates, right? And then what I'm going to do is take the difference and I'm going to subtract that from the total profit of that, right? So for example, perfect example of this, to give you an example of how I would do it, let's say that this one sold on Poshmark, right? And I made like, I don't know, like $8.90 on Poshmark, right? So what would my total profit margin be? Well, it would be $24.49 minus $23.11, right? And then I would take whatever that is, so like a buck or something like that, a buck, like, I can't do math right now, like $1.20, $1.30 something. And then I would take $8.90 minus $1.30 something to get my total profit, right? And I can obviously go ahead and do that for everyone and then add them up manually. Or I can simply input the numbers and have the auto sum feature down in a bottom row somewhere so that it adds it up myself or for me, so that I can literally scroll down to that one and see, okay, now I just I bought into 50 products and spent a bunch of money and I haven't got cash back, so I'm negative $200 in this business model, even though I've made some money in the past, right? But as you get your rebates back and as you start selling more, you might jump up to like $800 profit that month, right? So that's kind of how it works, and that's how I track the cashback arbitrage. This one will be a spreadsheet template directly below that you can download. So let's X out of this one. Same thing with all the other ones. So I do the same thing with books, right? Like I track like where I purchased it from, so I can literally click the link, grab the ISBN or the ASIN if it's just like a normal product, right? But for books, it's ISBN. I'll take the title so I know when it comes. Okay, I can mark that it's either it hasn't shown up yet, so no in red, I have received it yet, or I've sent it into FBA, or it's obviously sold. Like you can see all these here, right? And then once it does sell, I'll gray it out and I'll make it like 1 so I can't really see it anymore, but that all the information and the numbers are still tallied up in that auto sum column at the bottom. So that's how I approach it, because like I always say, what you track, you can improve. So tracking will help you in so many different ways, guys. First, you want to start small, and then you want to prove the concept, and then scale it once you prove the concept. That will inspire you to do so. So if you try to scale before, and I did this across business models, if you try to scale before you prove the concept, or you try to scale in too many different directions at once without tracking, you're really going to end up jumbled, and it's going to seem like you're not making a lot of money, because maybe you're going to have like 30 books in inventory into FBA, right? And like 50 products in FBA, right? And maybe they haven't been received yet. Maybe there's like a 20 product shipment, and you're like, where is all my money? But it's like, it's either coming to you in products, or it's out, or it's on its way to FBA, or it's in FBA and hasn't sold yet, right? So there's a million different things, but that's why I recommend that you track everything. If you try to scale before you actually track and you're profitable, chances are that when you scale, it will just exacerbate the problem, right? So track small, start small, and then once you see that it's working and you're profitable, then you can scale, and you don't necessarily need to track anymore. But I recommend that you do this at least in the beginning. So if you want the book one, if you want the coupon arbitrage one, what's the other one that I pulled up? There's a bunch of them. I have like 5. It is the arbitrage one. So just like normal arbitrage, when I source from like GameStop or Slick Deals or Woot or any of those other bulk deal sites that I cover. So if you want any of these spreadsheets, they're downloadable directly below. They won't be auto summed for you, but they will have all the columns that you can put all the information in yourselves. And you can obviously mix and match them just to get an idea of how I track, right? And then auto sum the important columns and deduct them, so you know exactly what your profit is and you're tracking everything. Huge tip. It seems simple. Most people don't do it, but what you track, you can improve. So make sure to track it. And another thing too is this will also build your confidence, so that when you see that you are profitable, it will inspire you to buy more inventory. You'll also learn what works and what doesn't, so you can replicate more of what works and avoid more of what doesn't. So by tracking, you'll know for sure, right? So if you're losing money on a particular product, why are you losing money on that product? You'll be able to see. If you're losing money you're making money on the majority of your business models, but for example, you're losing money on like bulk deal arbitrage, well, why are you losing money on bulk deal arbitrage? You'll be able to look at all the information and all the data and see. Because numbers don't lie, guys. Data doesn't lie. So if you're tracking, you will be able to diagnose the issues and improve them going forward. So I want to talk really briefly too about the importance of ranking your account and getting reviews. Now, this goes without saying, but I want to touch on each individual marketplace, the importance or the lack thereof, the importance, and just things to keep in mind and pay attention to. So on eBay, ranking your account, getting reviews, and getting feedback is super, super important. It's also super, super important on Mercari, especially if you're going to be doing the retail drop shipping or the arbitrage form of drop shipping like I'm talking about in the actual Mercari module we'll talk about in this course. Very, very important. Now, the reason being, it's most important, I would say, probably on eBay and Mercari, because if you're going to scale up on either one of these marketplaces, the more feedback and the more customer, sales proof you have, essentially, the more you'll be trusted social proof wise from other buyers, right? So if I come to somebody's profile, right, and they have like 5 reviews, they're not very seasoned, and so I don't know if I can trust them that much. I'm not saying you won't sell as much with 5 reviews, you still will sell, but the more reviews you accumulate and the more basically social proof and history of good salesmanship that you have, the better you will be able to sell, and the easier you will be able to sell products in the future, and the more you'll be able to sell them for. And that is also true on Mercari. I have started to notice on Mercari and on even when I was selling back on eBay, like we talked about in the last lecture, I'm actually suspended currently from selling on eBay. But one of the things that I noticed is as I started to accumulate more reviews and more social proof, I started to realize that people started to buy more and more in droves, and I could sell things at higher prices. And it's kind of a snowball effect. So the reason I'm telling you this, and we're going to touch on 4 other marketplaces where they're important in a second. The reason I'm telling you this on Poshmark and on eBay and on Mercari is because a lot of times when you're first getting into this business model, you want to make the money super, super fast, and you can, but you don't always want to sell it for the highest potential profit margin possible in the very beginning. So if this is your first month in the Online Arbitrage Pro course, keep in mind that it's okay to net no profit on something. If you buy a $5 item, or you buy an item for like $2, right? Or you go to a rebate, a rebate site and you get an item for $1, right? And you sell it back on Mercari or eBay and only make $1 or $3 back, and you didn't profit that much. It's okay. Obviously, that's not ideal. You want to be making more money. But that said, here and there when you're selling stuff, if you're not making that much profit, but you're getting a review, keep in mind that it will pay you massive dividends in the future as you accumulate more of those reviews. So when you're first starting out, the profit is big. Don't get me wrong. You want to make money. I'm not telling you not to make money. Obviously, that's the main goal of this course, and I would hope that you'd want to. That said, keep in mind too that a review quite often is just as good as about $5 to $10 profit margin, because it's going to mean, $5 to $10 profit margin exponentially in the future. So keep that in mind when you're selling on eBay. Think reviews. Don't always try to push something for the highest potential profit margin. Just getting sales will accumulate more reviews, which means you'll be able to sell more in the future. Same with Mercari, right? People genuinely trust me. They see a listing now and they don't think about it too much because they see 128 5-star reviews and they're like, oh, this dude's trustworthy. Buy, not even going to think about it. Boom. That's what I recommend that you do. Start accumulating reviews, start accumulating social proof. Now, on Poshmark, it is and it isn't important, okay? It is important in the fact that it's going to buy you clout with Poshmark's team. So what I mean by that is when other buyers come to your profile, they actually can't see your reviews and they can't see your past sales history. So it works to your benefit if you obviously have bad reviews on Poshmark. That said, it's not going to buy you good kind of standing with the Poshmark review team if somebody reports, that you sold them something that wasn't what it was. Now, that's not going to happen usually, and if you're selling products that are directly from the listing, that should practically never happen. That said, when people come and, for example, I sold a pair of shoes like 2 months ago, and the guy reported it as not being described because I had them used like new, but they didn't have a tag on them, and I'd worn them like twice. And the guy reported it, and he was like, these aren't new. And then obviously Poshmark sided with me because I have a lot of clout. They didn't take any money from him. They gave him his money back too, but they also let me keep the money because I have proven sales history on the site and have a lot of positive customer feedback. So other people can't see that, other buyers can't see that, but if you ever have a dispute, it really helps you go a long way with the Poshmark team to basically be like, look, I have a good history here. I'm not trying to one up or pull the wool over anybody's eyes. This is just an unhappy customer. And if you have a history of bad selling or kind of trying to pull the wool over customers' eyes, then chances are they're not going to side with you. So it's important, but it's not as important as on eBay or Mercari. Now on Amazon, it's obviously important too, but one thing that people don't realize, and this is something that a lot of people were frustrated with in the coupon arbitrage or like original course, is people don't realize that the feedback. So customer reviews and feedback are two different things on Amazon, right? So this is the customer review for this product. This is what people see. They see 4.44 stars out of 5 stars, 293 customer reviews. Very rarely, very rarely, if you look on this sales page, you don't see the seller's feedback at all. For somebody to actually have seller feedback and look at seller feedback, what they would have to do is they'd have to look at the other sellers. So they'd either have to click the new here or the new here, or sometimes there'll be like new, used, and other offers here. So they'd have to click this, right, and then come to this page to see your seller information. So it's not as important, believe it or not, on Amazon to have good seller feedback. The only thing it's important for is to keep your metrics up so your selling account is in good standards. But if you get a bad customer feedback on an item, it's not that big of a deal. Just keep building your account, keep getting better customer feedback. If you get a bad review on your account, it's not that big of a deal. And the reason being is you don't actually own any of your arbitrage products. So if the product gets a bad review, it doesn't matter because you don't own the product. You're not invested in the customer, in the actual product listing. So on Amazon, it's actually not as important as you think. Don't stress it. Now on Let Go and OfferUp, it is very important as well. And the reason being is it's going to basically, people are a little bit kind of just like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. people are a little bit wary of meeting up with some random stranger that they don't know anything about necessarily to buy something. And just one customer review, so if you can kind of go out of your way to get one customer review, maybe even from friends or family, and just kind of set up a buy that, isn't even a real buy. I'm not necessarily saying game the system on Letgo or OfferUp, but if you can set up just one customer review, one positive review, it's going to go a long way to give you some social proof so that you can start selling stuff. I noticed that when I had no reviews on my OfferUp and Letgo account, it would take a lot of messaging back and forth for somebody to actually meet up and trust me. And then once I finally got one review, it was like, boom. Then people just were ready to meet up because I had a history of doing that. So it's very, very important on Letgo and OfferUp as well. But I just wanted to touch on the importance of ranking your accounts and getting reviews, because obviously the more reviews, the more social proof that you'll have, and the easier it will be for you to sell and sell at a higher markup in the future. But more importantly, especially on eBay and especially on Mercari, it's also going to rank your account, because the more sales history you have and the more better reviews that you have, the higher you're going to be ranked when you list certain products. So keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to talk about listing items and the SEO and why it matters. So the SEO, if you don't know, is search engine optimization. And this is something that a lot of people sleep on and don't take full advantage of. And it might take you an extra, minute, maybe 30 seconds to do to the best of your ability. And it's going to bring more organic traffic to your listing, which obviously increases the likelihood that you're going to sell your product, sell more of your products, and make more money over the long haul, right? So I'm going to give you an example of SEO on each different marketplace and how it works and how you can utilize it to your advantage. So this is an item that I literally just bought off a rebate site this morning. It's a posture corrector. I got this for free, and I'm going to show you obviously later on in the course how you can get items like this for free. So what I'm going to basically do is, obviously this isn't at my door yet, but if it were at my door, I would list this on all these different websites. I would list it on eBay if I weren't suspended, and obviously you aren't either. You're not going to be suspended from eBay. I would list this on Poshmark because it's a clothing-oriented item. I would list this on Mercari because it's just like eBay, and I can list anything on Mercari, so I might as well, right? And chances are this probably will sell on Mercari. Now I could also list this on OfferUp, but I'm not going to because it's not something big. I generally speaking list a lot of my stuff on eBay. On Poshmark, Mercari, and on Amazon. I would list it on eBay if it weren't suspended, but I only list like big stuff on OfferUp and Letgo. Now, I would show you how to do this on OfferUp, but you actually have to list from the app. So what I like to do if I'm listing something on OfferUp and Letgo is I'll list it on Letgo first, and then I'll literally copy and paste everything from the Letgo app to the OfferUp app. It's really, really easy. It takes me about a minute or two to list it on here on letgo.com from the listing. And then obviously I would just go to the OfferUp app and then copy everything from the Letgo app to the OfferUp app and list it there. And it might take me another minute or two to do that. So if I were going to list this on a Letgo, let me show you exactly what I do. So I'm not going to do all of this for you. I'm not going to waste your time and list every single one, but I'm going to give you some caveats on each marketplace. So what I'm going to do is save this image here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. This is an SEO tip, guys, because SEO is literally everything. It's your title, it's your description, it's your picture, metadata, it's everything on the platform. It's going to be your specs on eBay, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. So if you don't know what that means, stick with me. It will all make sense to you in the future, and this is how you get the most bang for your buck listing-wise. So I'm not going to just save this as, picture one. I'm not going to just save this as slouching, hunching, posture one, or whatever. I'm going to save this as the most SEO'd out potential picture saving possible so that I get the most metadata possible. So it's just giving another potential piece of information to the website, wherever that website is, that this is what the listing is. So I'm going to save this as posture corrector. If I can type posture corrector. Let's see what else we can add in here keyword wise. Posture corrector, back brace solution, let's go back brace solution, back support, neck support, upper back straightener, right? And then I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to save it as 1, right? Boom. Now save this as 2. Save this as 3. And I'm getting all these pictures, high quality images, because remember, I'm going to list this exact thing that I ordered on all the other sites. 4. 5, 6. Now we have all the pictures, right? So now I want to list them on Mercari, Letgo, Poshmark, eBay, and Amazon. So how are we going to do that? Well, for Letgo, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just post the picture in. So I'm only going to post one of them in there. We've got number 1 right here. So we'll just post that in because I'm not going to post them all to show you, but obviously you'd post them all, right? So the price is on right here, it's about $13. So I want to sell it at market value or a little bit less, usually speaking. So unless you're drop shipping, then that's a completely different thing. We'll talk about that in the drop shipping / arbitrage module. So I'm going to list this at $13, and then we're going to move on. Now you'll start to notice that if we add more details here, you can SEO your listing out, right? So you can add all the other pictures, giving it more, metadata in each picture. That's clearly going to send a signal that this is a posture corrector. And so if somebody types in anything like that, posture corrector, back straightener, back brace, posture support, anything like that into Letgo or anything similar to it, Letgo's got a lot of information to suggest this product to those people, right? Then for the description, what I would do is you get 1,500 characters here on Letgo, right? And I think you get 1,500 or 1,200 on OfferUp. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a good majority of the description. And one of the best things about buying on Amazon is there's a lot of good descriptions for private label products. Obviously, I can't copy and paste here because... There we go, finally, and then we're basically just going to paste that into the description. Now that's exactly 1,500 characters. It looks like the last part was cut off, so let's just take that last sentence off. Boom. Now, the title. So what I want to do is I want to say like posture corrector, back brace, and, oh my God, back brace and neck support for men and women. Something like that, with more keywords in there, a bunch of keywords and a good written out description in the description, and then we're going to basically try to categorize it as best as we can. So it's in other, probably free stuff, electronics, it's probably in other right here. You can probably put it in sports and leisure as well, and then save the changes, and you're going to list that. So that's just SEOing it out. Now, a lot of people make that mistake. It sounds simple on Letgo, right? But a lot of people don't fill out their descriptions, and they put like just posture corrector as the title. You're missing out on a lot of potential organic traffic and a lot of bang for your potential buck by doing so. Now let's list it on Mercari, and I'll show you an example of that on Mercari. So same thing on Mercari. We want to add them all, right? So posture corrector, and I'd add every single picture, and remember the metadata is saved with a bunch of keywords as well. Same thing with the description. We'd post the description in there. Now on Mercari you get 1,000 characters. You want to kind of make it streamlined, so you're going to take a bunch of this out, but you also want it to read well with a bunch of keywords stuffed in your description. Same thing with the title as you did on Letgo. Then on Mercari you want to add 3 tags as well, categorize it as well, and then basically set your price. Now I always recommend, and I'm not going to touch too much on this because we will cover this in droves, just like we'll cover the Poshmark in droves when we actually visit those modules specifically, but then obviously you want to offer free shipping. I recommend. So moving on to Poshmark, same overall thing. You're going to add your pictures, add your title, add full description, so everything that you can possibly fit in there. Now you'll notice on Poshmark you don't have as much opportunity in the description, so it limits you in the description. That said, still want to use it to the best of your ability. Put as many keywords in there as possible while still allowing it to read pretty streamlined, right? I might add some more keywords there with 50 more characters, but I'm not going to waste your time. Then categorize it, set it up, set your price, so on and so forth. Now on eBay, it's a little bit different, and on Amazon, it's a little bit different. So on eBay, what you're going to do is you're going to search for something very, very similar. What I would like to do on eBay usually is I'll literally search this title to see if this actual thing is on eBay already. And that's a good indicator if you search the title. So let me just grab this, if I can copy. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't. I'm struggling here. Oh my. Well, we're just going to take it from here. So posture corrector, and we're going to paste it into the search bar of eBay to see if it's actually on eBay, right? So it doesn't look like that actual one is on eBay. I don't see those same exact pictures. So it would lead me to believe that that's not actually on eBay. That said, there's a lot of very, very similar posture correctors selling on eBay. But the key here is, with eBay, what you want to do is you want to figure out what's actually sold already. Keep this in mind. What has actually sold already? So you're not just going to search it and then match something. What you're going to do is you're going to search it, And then you're going to hit sold items. And it's going to reorganize it based on what's already been sold on the marketplace so that you can see exactly what the market for it actually is, right? Not what people are listing stuff for, but what has actually sold and for what price. Now, before we get into this actually listing other stuff and getting all the SEO for your eBay listings, keep in mind too that if you search this and nothing pops up, then go a little bit more broad, right? Then I might come back and just search like posture corrector. But obviously we didn't have to do that, so just keep that in mind if you need to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look here at all the posture correctors that have sold on eBay and see, okay, what are they generally selling for so I know the market value. So this looks like it sold for $8, $13.50, and this sold on March 2nd. This sold recently for $8. This sold recently for $9. This sold recently for $8. This sold recently, that's a little bit different. That's like orthopedics, so that doesn't really count. Posture corrector for like $9, posture corrector for like $8, posture corrector for $23. So I would probably say that with a good ranked account like mine, I could probably get away with selling this for like $9.99 on eBay. That's probably like the market. You could list it a little bit higher, but you might not necessarily sell it right away. It all depends on how quickly you want to get rid of it. So what I would do then, right? What I would do is I would go to one that's sold recently, and I would copy the specs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to one recently, and I'm not going to go to my eBay and sell it like most people do. Instead, I'm going to search it like we just did. I'm going to hit the sold items because then we know what's sold. So obviously this has found visibility on the platform and it's sold. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit sell one like this, and it's going to copy all the specs for that actual listing, right? And this is something that most people don't actually add when they're creating an eBay listing, right? Because we copied all the specs that one just had because it had already sold. So we're getting all those positive specs. Then you want to add potentially a subtitle if you want to pay for it. You don't have to. You want to make sure you have a good title. Same thing, add your photos that are all metadataed out. Add a good, valuable description here. But what you're getting here when you actually do that is you're getting all these features and these benefits and these specs that most people don't add when they actually go about doing this. And that's where the value lies. That's why you want to go search for it and then sell one like this. Now, obviously, I can't list this because I am I am suspended from eBay like we talked about. But eBay is a great tool, and I highly recommend that you use it to sell to your advantage. Now, finally, Amazon. We're going to go into add product on Amazon. You'll see I have 64 current active listings, so hopefully they're selling out as we're speaking and I'm making money. But what you're going to do on Amazon, and this is something you're going to see in droves in the coupon arbitrage module, keep in mind too that coupon arbitrage is a completely different form of arbitrage than any of the other buy low, sell high forms of arbitrage or the drop shipping arbitrage like you're going to learn in a lot of the modules here in this course. So just to recap, you're going to see this, like I said, a million times over. You're going to copy the ASIN. You don't need to copy the pictures. You don't need to copy any of the description. You're just going to copy the ASIN, and then you're going to paste it into add product on Seller Central. So you're in inventory, add product. Paste it in there, and then it's going to pop up with your thing, and then you're going to sell it. Now, I can't sell this on Amazon. That's something that you're going to check to see before you buy it if your intent is to resell it back on Amazon. Something, like I said, I will literally drill into your mind, and you'll hear it in your sleep when we hit the coupon arbitrage module. So don't worry if you don't get this now. But that said, that's what you're basically going to do. And then you're going to list it from here, and it's going to come with everything already, and then you're just going to hop on this actual listing. So that's the importance of SEO, guys. Don't sleep on it. SEO is super, super important when you're doing online arbitrage. So you're not just adding something really fast. No, you're SEOing out your title, making a good read title that people can read through very, very well, that also has a bunch of good keywords in it. You're also SEOing out your description. You're also saving your pictures as keywords that are relevant as well, because that's going to give that platform more information on what your listing actually is so that they can serve it to better people looking for that product. Today, I'm going to show you exactly the process that I use to get free shipping boxes for my online arbitrage in a lot of different capacities. Now, this is not going to work for Amazon arbitrage as the way that I teach it, unless you are merchant fulfilling, which I don't suggest that you do, because then that puts you liable for a lot of reasons. Other sellers will kind of attack your account, and it puts you at all the mercy of Amazon's metrics, so to speak, when you're merchant fulfilling. I always suggest shipping into FBA. A, because it's more passive, they'll do all the work for you. B, because your products will sell better if they have that prime tag when you ship them into FBA. And mainly I think I just said 1 and B. 1, 2, and 3, and now we're on 3. And number 3 mainly is to protect your account so that you're not liable for all those merchant fulfilled orders. So if you are merchant fulfilling on Amazon, this obviously will work for you, but this is mainly for the other people that are shipping, other products or doing other forms of arbitrage or reselling on eBay or Mercari or, OfferUp, Letgo, whatever it is, what have you. There's a number of other sites. I'm going to show you how to get free boxes from the U.S. Post Office right here today. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to the post office, so USPS.com. So here we are on USPostOffice.com, so USPS.com. Quick Tools is where you want to go, and then you'll see this little thing called free boxes. And you'll notice if we scroll down that, yes, you can get all of these free boxes delivered right to your door by the simple click and order from this website. Now, there's a number of different boxes, so I'm going to go down and sort it all the way at the bottom to 48. And you'll see that there's a number of different, sizes, different types of boxes, envelopes. Padded envelopes are usually my favorite because I can put clothes in when I'm shipping out Poshmark items. So this is basically how you do it. You browse through, you say, okay, I could use, 10 or 25 of these. Are these the small ones or the medium ones? Those look like the medium ones. Of these medium flat rate boxes that are 11 inches by 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Maybe I want, 10 of these because I feel like the majority of the products that I have look like those. I know that I ship out a lot of, scratch off maps that I got from FBA that I can't resell anymore because that was literally a hot product on Amazon a long time ago. So when I buy products from Amazon Arbitrage and for whatever reason those might be damaged, like we talked about yesterday, even though they're not actually damaged, I get them shipped back, so I need a tube or something to ship them out. These are great for them. They fit exactly perfectly. And the reason that the post office offers you these boxes for free and will literally take them and drop them off at your house for free too is because they want you to use their service. So you have to ask yourself, what are you fulfilling, number one, if you're selling on eBay or Mercari or, Poshmark or any of those other sites, what are you fulfilling, number one? And if it's on Poshmark, always use these because Poshmark always pays priority mail. So you can use these for free. The labels are going to be for free. And I always recommend using priority mail boxes like this just because it makes you look like a better, more high-class seller on Poshmark. You'll get better ratings. I also recommend doing this on Mercari and eBay for certain items as well and other places like OfferUp potentially too. Because like I said, it's gonna make it streamlined. It's gonna make you look professional as a seller. It'll increase your ratings. It'll decrease your customer returns. And the boxes are free. But you do have to ask yourself, like I was gonna say, what am I actually shipping? So if you're shipping something that is a high priced margin and you can make a lot of money on it, well then it might behoove you to do this because A, it's gonna get to the customer fast, so they're gonna be happy 2 to 3 days, and B, on top of that, and a little caveat too, don't spring for the blue boxes. Those are express mail. You always want the red ones. So the red priority, 2 to 3 days, not the blue express. Okay? Just wanted to preface it by saying. But so if it's something small or, maybe it's something that you can ship medium mail, then maybe you want to use some other boxes that aren't these because your shipping charge might be $2, $3, $4 for a medium mail package, and you can't use priority mail boxes for media mail. But that's really where I get the majority of my free boxes. I ship them out. Now, if you are shipping these out, sometimes they can charge you if you use the padded envelopes, if I can see if I can find them. Right here, these are like my favorite. The padded flat rate envelopes, perfect for clothes, perfect for a number of small different items. Typically, those are going to cost you $6 to $7 when you're shipping them out. But if you spring for something bigger, like one of these big priority mail boxes, sometimes they can run you up to 10 to even $15 depending on where you're shipping. So it is important to keep in mind that yes, you're getting the boxes for free, but that's not always the cheapest option. If you can ship it medium mail, go ahead and spring for that route. But if you do have something small, get a couple padded flat rate envelopes, get a couple of envelopes, just normal flat rate envelopes too. You can package them up, seal them up. You don't need any tape. Obviously, you're going to have to tape the label on there if you don't have a label maker. But that's basically how I get all the boxes 100% free to decrease my margins for the right products and obviously make more with online arbitrage. What's going on, guys? So this is not going to be like a structured or organized video or, high production quality, but I get this question all the time, so I wanted to kind of answer it and touch on it for you. How do I run my reselling business? How do I keep it organized, and how can you so that you can scale it? Now, if you haven't watched the one video where I cover, the two sides of my reselling business, one's more scalable, obviously, and then the other one is just like reselling cashback and coupon products. Check that out because it will provide so much insight on what I'm talking about right here. I'm not special. I don't don't have like some warehouse. I don't rent out a space. I literally do it in my basement, and you can too, or you can do it in your garage. So first and foremost is I have a shipment right here, if you can see on the table. I'm about to send in a bunch of games, a couple of books. I have some other books over there to add to FBA. That's the first side of my reselling business. Not really that crazy, right? I source products online. I use eFlip to source books. I source from bulk deal sites. I source from sites, literally all the sites and tutorials that I cover, I literally source them myself, send them into FBA. Nothing special, really, really easy. And then you can leverage FBA, you can leverage their customer service, you can leverage, their distribution, all that stuff. It's one of the easiest ways to scale. But still to this day, I still do all the fulfillment on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari myself because it's free money, right? I'm getting like hundreds, if not thousands of cashback products every couple of months. I don't get 1,000 every month. And they're like free products that I'm getting. I'm making money on my cashback credit card. On top of that, I'm also getting free products because I'm getting the cashback, or I'm getting very cheap products because I'm getting coupon products. Perfect example of one right here that just came today. Everyone Drinks. I literally got that for like, I think 40 cents or 50 cents or something on JumpSend, I want to say. Super cheap product. I'm going to list that back on Mercari, Poshmark, and eBay for like 20 bucks, maybe drop the price and end up selling it like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 bucks and make a really great margin, right? So how do I set up my business? How do I keep it in, organized so that I know where all my inventory is and I can do all the fulfillment and it's not a headache? Because that's one of the biggest mistakes I made in the beginning, was it was like a huge headache to kind of manage it, go find products. So key is just stay organized, right? As you can see, I got all my little priority mail boxes for free up there. This is a light box, one of the coolest things that I found to take better product pictures if you need to. I also have something I'm going to show you over there when we talk about the books here in a second. Got my scale, my Avery labels, obviously, my Goo Gone tape. I need to get more tape. I got the, the poly mailers. And then I have all these bins, right? And they're all organized. Oh, that's coming off. And they're all organized with lettering, right? So what I do is I'll put something in a bin when I get it, right? So I'll go list that drinking game, right? And I'll maybe put it in bin number C. And what I do is I'll put C in the bottom of the, I'm doing this like Ty Lopez or something. He always talks like this. I hate that I'm doing it, but it feels like it's gonna keep you engaged or something. But so what I'll do is I'll put C at the bottom of the description if it's on eBay or Mercari. And if it's on Poshmark, they actually give you a section at the very bottom with like seller specs, right? So I'll put C in the bottom of that description, right? Then I know when somebody buys it, I look in the description and I think, oh wow, it's in bin C, and it takes me a minute to go find it in the 20 things or 30 things that are in bin C, rather than trying to go find it throughout all my inventory, right? So key number one, stay organized, right? And as you can see, I have just, products in all these bins, and it's only like 20 or 30 products per bin. Some of them have more, some of them have less. Sorry if it's dark in here. I don't have any lighting set up. I didn't really plan on filming this. I just thought, like, I've been getting this question a lot, so I might as well tackle it for you. And that's pretty much how I do it. I stay organized like that. Now, there's another way that you can stay organized with books if you're fulfilling books too, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. But really, I don't, structure or order that many FBA things for my FBA inventory. I just kind of do it like sporadically, right? And I scale up that way. So there's many ways to basically tackle this. As you can see here, I also have books. I don't usually recommend people to get into books if they're trying to make money with an FBA type of business, because finding cheap books, unless you're sourcing with like eFlip and you're sourcing like new or used books with a software, that's a great way. But if you're going out to like retail stores or like, garage sales or bookstores or anything like that, or churches, right, to get free and cheap books, there's really only one reason that you should be doing that. Well, there's a couple reasons actually. The first main one is if you don't have a lot of money to get, to kind of spend on stuff, and you kind of want to scale up really, really easily and get cheap and free inventory. All these books that I'm showing you, and I'm going to show you here more in a second, I got for free. I didn't pay for any of these books. Now, I do pay for books when I source with eFlip with that software, right? But that's strictly to send into FBA. Now, I fulfill all these books that you're seeing right here. I fulfill them all myself because I got them for free, because I'm personally going after maximum approval, which is 2,000 sales in a 6-month period on Amazon, okay? So the key with obviously keeping your inventory, like when you're fulfilling on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, is, having a system, making sure you're structured so that you can obviously go get the item, ship it out fast. You want to be organized. You want to have a system in place for any business model, but especially, online arbitrage or reselling. The key is
when you're doing that to keep them in lettered bins and stay organized and have a structure. The key here when you're fulfilling books or really anything is you can keep them, it's easier because Amazon's gonna tell you the date that you created the listing on Amazon, right? If you're fulfilling it by yourself, merchant fulfilled. So what you can do, if you see 1209, 1226, 1218, right? And so these are times where I scan these books in, so I know that if my book sells or any, piece of inventory sells on Amazon that I'm fulfilling myself, I can structure it by date because I can look at the Amazon listing and it'll show me when that listing was created. Then I literally find that bin with a corresponding date where I created the listing, and boom, I know it's in there just like the lettered bins. So that's really how I do it. The other thing I wanted to show you here is this thing is really gonna help you take better Poshmark pictures as well. It's just like a hanging little mannequin doll where you can hang clothes, but also, lighting as well. Stuff like that. I don't have any lights set up currently, but usually I do when I start to list. So I hope you got value out of this video. I know it's not high production quality. I know I didn't really have a structure and it doesn't seem like it's too prepared, but it's something I wanted to talk about because I get it all the time. And I'm not special. If I can do it, you can do it. I don't have a warehouse. I didn't invest thousands into setting this up. It's literally just 3 big shelves and, lettered bins.
So I want to touch on prep centers really fast and how to actually find a good one and all the different nuances and benefits of them, okay? So I was going to go through and create kind of a detailed plan of a bunch of different prep centers. I try to reach out to certain companies, although in my experience, they do tend to change their pricing structures depending on the time of year or how many, potential clients they have or customers they have at the time. So I was going to create one, but shout out to Seller Essentials. They've literally gone ahead and created one already that's pretty freaking good. You can see it's here. It's got a bunch of different, check marks. Do they do wholesale? Do they do imports? Do they cater to OA or RA? Will they do used books? What's their typical prep time? The taxes, whether or not, they're in a tax-free state or anything like that. Now, the only thing that I haven't seen here is, do they hold stuff? So you're going to have to kind of contact them because, and I'll make sure to link this in this actual lecture as well so you can reference it if you want. Like I said, big props to them. They went ahead and created this, so I'm going to go ahead and use it as well, but I did not create this, okay? So you want to go ahead and look at all the benefits of these potential prep centers, and here's some that you can contact that might help you out, okay? So one of the only things, like I said, that I haven't seen here is, will they hold your items? So you need to ask yourself, what's your purpose for a prep center? Are you, outside the US and you're just simply trying to use it for FBA, right? Or are you inside the US and just simply trying to use it for FBA? In that case, you're just looking for an Amazon prep center. It doesn't need to store your stuff, right? It just needs to receive them, repackage them, label the goods, and then ship them into Amazon potentially, right? So you don't need like an eBay prep center or like a Mercari or a Poshmark prep center. And Mercari and Poshmark prep centers don't really exist, right? But you're just going, if that's your game plan, and you're doing the second one, so you're not just going for FBA, but you also want to, or maybe primarily want to, do some of the cashback arbitrage or the coupon arbitrage or liquidation arbitrage, right, with the intention of doing, what's typically, self-fulfillment, right? So you're doing fulfilling orders on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari, then you're going to need, and you want to use a prep center and not your actual house or apartment to do that, then you're going to need a prep center that caters more towards eBay sellers and kind of will hold your inventory for an extended period of time, right? So you need them to receive your inventory, you need them to hold your inventory and store inventory for you, and you also need them to ship out to customers with your labels on them, right? So in that case, you're looking for a prep center that will hold and store inventory. So it really depends on your goals and what you're actually looking for. There's not one size fits all prep center that I'll recommend to everybody because they all do different things. They all have different pricing structures, and they're all depending on where you live in tax-free states or, stuff like that. So like I said, I will link this spreadsheet, very well documented, and props to Seller Essentials for actually going ahead and filling this out. I'll link it to this lecture directly below, but I hope that this helps you out. Like I said, always contact 5 to 10. I've hit that home a bunch of times. Don't just contact 1, don't just contact 2. Contact 5 to 10 of them. You will see how well they work with others, if they're kind to you, what their pricing structure is, and what they're potentially going to charge you for that. And then you'll be able to kind of put them in a spreadsheet or outline them in a paper and literally pick the one that's the cheapest and the most helpful for you. So that's Prep Centers 101. Look through the spreadsheet, contact a bunch that look like they fit exactly what you're looking for, and then go with the cheapest and the most helpful. What's going on, guys? So I actually just got done listing a lot of new items from a liquidation palette that I just bought recently, and I stumbled upon this app that is a complete game changer for resellers. Okay, so basically there's two ways that you can relist products when you're reselling. Okay, you can either take the stock images from a listing that's already online, right, whether that's Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, or from Google or wherever, which isn't always recommended but can be a good idea if it's like an Amazon listing and you're getting a cashback product off of Amazon. Okay, now the second is you take your own product pictures, but the issue with that is it's tough to build a studio or get good lighting or get good product pictures with a white background, and that becomes challenging, especially for a lot of new resellers, right? Because it can add up pretty quickly. You're talking about like a photo studio. You need like either a good light box, which can be like $100 or $200, excuse me. You're also talking about like a potential good camera, or at least your phone camera with good lighting, and a good backdrop with like photography paper at the very least. Okay, but all that is solved with this app, because this app literally lets you take pictures of your item, whatever it is. And this is, prevalent and good for, people that are going to, retail arbitrage stores, or maybe you're going to thrift stores and getting good items. Or if you're somebody like me that's getting liquidation pallets super, super cheap, but those always don't have, Amazon listings where you can take the actual product pictures and the description from the Amazon listing, right? So then the challenge becomes taking the good product pictures, because the product picture, regardless of where you're selling it on, is going to be the number one thing that sells your item, right? It's not the description that helps. It's not the title that helps. It's not all the specs. That certainly helps. It is the product picture and the quality of those product pictures. So this app literally lets you take a picture of the item regardless of the background and the lighting. The lighting does play a part. You want decent lighting, so maybe by a window, but you can take it with like a million different things in the background, or just like on your carpet, right? And it literally lets you take the picture of that item and wipes the background out of it and just makes it white backdrop, perfectly like a high quality eBay listing. Okay, so let's hop over to my phone and I'll show you the actual listing process and me utilizing this app. It's a complete game changer.
So let's say you have liquidation, and I'll open up my camera here in a second to show you exactly what I'm talking about, right? So this really goes for eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, but especially for like Mercari, where you need to use stock photos. Now, you probably should use stock photos, and once you see the quality of these stock photos with this actual app that I'm about to show you, you will understand just how valuable it is. But I recommend using an app like this because A, it's free, at least in my experience. I haven't had to upgrade to the premium version yet. And B, because it's going to take high quality stock photos of the actual items that you have. Therefore, it becomes a lot easier to list both used items and obviously new items and get high quality pictures. You don't need a light box. You don't need special photography paper. You don't need a studio to take pictures. This app is a complete game changer. So let me scroll over and I'll show you what it is. It's called Photo Room. You see it there at the bottom, literally Photo Room. So let's open it up. And you can see I've been using this to take pictures. It takes great pictures. So you'll see that you can upgrade to Pro. I, like I said, haven't found a need to upgrade to Pro yet, but that might hit me eventually if maybe there's like a limit to it. So I just started using this, but it has completely changed the game for me. So let's open up Start Photo, and we're gonna hit Camera, okay? Now you're gonna see here we are, literally where I usually film, behind me, where all the boxes are, right? So I got these shoes right here, these boots, from a liquidation palette. I think I spent like $500, got a bunch of different shoes, and they ended up costing me, I think like $3 or maybe like $2.50 a pair. So usually you need either a light box to take a picture like this if you're going to list them on like eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari to get a good picture, or you're going to need high quality photography paper and a good camera, or good lighting. Okay, so literally I don't have anything changed. I'm just going to take a picture of these. Boom. So now we have a picture, but that doesn't look right, right? It's not staged. It's not, in a background with white, photography paper behind it. It's not in a light box studio. Literally, you can see that it's not even like staged well on like a bed or like with a good background, right? But this app completely changes the game because it's literally going to scan it in and take the background out. Boom. White background, high quality picture. Let's save it to our photos, right? Now we go back. We're going to take a picture of the bottom treads to show just how brand new they are, right? Because you want to take multiple different photos, especially if you're selling on eBay and you're selling like clothing items. So boom. And that picture looks, well, that's a little unfocused. Let's take another one. Boom. And you might want to wipe off also unfocused, doing a horrible job right here. There we go, it's a little bit better. So that picture looks, not that great, obviously. You might want to clean off the bottoms of the shoes, just kind of like wipe them down right there because there's some dust on them. But just to give you an example, let's use this photo right here. It's going to show high quality picture of the treads. It's literally going to wipe the white background or wipe the background away and make it white. Complete game changer. The app does everything for you. So now if we go into Mercari right here and you see the listings inactive because I haven't actually updated it with stock photos. So let's edit it and we'll add those pictures in there. So you can see all the photos that I actually grabbed from the actual listing, but hypothetically, let's say that you didn't actually have, any photos or any good stock photos, because that happens fairly frequently. Not so much with cashback items because you're stealing them from the private label listing on Amazon, but if you're buying high quality products from liquidation sites or anything like that, maybe going into thrift stores or doing like retail arbitrage, right? You're going to need to take your own high quality pictures yourself, and that's where these come in. So you're going to go to library, and then boom. We're going to add those two in there. And now we have high quality stock photos. I'm going to center that. So we're going to edit this one real fast. Maybe center that down a little bit. Oh, no, you can't. So boom, there you go. And high quality stock photos literally takes the background away and makes it white for you. So you don't need to invest any, money into stock photography paper, photography paper, any money into like a high quality camera, any money into lighting or anything like that. Highly recommend that you download this app. Look, photo room right here. You can download it for free in the App Store, and it will change your reselling game. So you can see the value of just listing from an app like that. It's 100% free. I highly recommend that you download it. I really hope that it helps you out.